All right, hello everyone. This is my 2 cents, and today I would like to talk about a kind of broad topic, but that specifically came onto my mind because of the recent news about the Michelle Carter case. Now, if you're not familiar about what that is, I've got a short clip here that explains it.
This is a case that was full of surprises from the beginning, many questioning whether Michelle Carter should have ever been charged in the death of her boyfriend, given that no other internet case has resulted in a homicide conviction. And now, big questions about that light sentence she got that seemed to stun the victim's family.
Ms. Carter, please stand.
A shocking decision in a Massachusetts courtroom.
Ms. Carter, a guilty finding having entered on the indictment charging you with the involuntary manslaughter of Conrad Roy III, now sentences you to 2.5 years in the Bristol County House of Correction. 15 months of said sentence shall be deemed a committed sentence.
On Thursday afternoon, 20-year-old Michelle Carter sentenced for her role in the death of her boyfriend, Conrad Roy III. In June, the surprising verdict.
This court, having reviewed the evidence and applied the law thereto, now finds you guilty.
Guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Her weapon? Text messages urging 18-year-old Roy to take his life through carbon monoxide poisoning inside his pickup truck. Carter, then 17, firing off messages like, "If you want it as bad as you say you do, it's time to do it today." Even telling him to get back in the truck when he gets nervous.
All right, so this young woman was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Why? Because she told her boyfriend to commit suicide via text message, and he did. Now, I want to say up front, I don't know all the details of this case. I'm sure there will be more information about it coming out in the coming days. I am not defending what she did, nor am I defending what anyone else in a similar situation has done. I think if anyone tells someone to commit suicide, then you are an asshole. But I do want to address what I think is a larger problem that's not being talked about here, and really is a cancer in our society today. And that's this idea that you can always play the victim card. If you have a hard life, if other people are mean to you, you can always blame anything you do on them or blame that on someone else and not take personal responsibility for anything. I think that is cancerous and it's garbage. And further, I think our society has really started to glorify suicide. If you disagree, I mean, just take a look at the Netflix series 13 Reasons, or Google suicide and look at anything that comes up. I mean, there are all these news stories of when people commit suicide and the media just coddles the family, puts their picture up on TV, talks about how they were, bullied so bad, and really encourages other people not to be bullies. And for the record, I'm not saying anyone should be a bully. I'm not saying anyone should be a jerk. But there's a simple reality that anyone who's lived for more than 5 minutes can figure out, and that is that the world is full of jerks, and that isn't going to change anytime soon. Now, I remember when I was a kid, if I came home and I was upset because of something someone said to me, my father would do what might be considered a little harsh, but I think I'm better for it. He told me that 1, life is not fair. Learn to deal with it. 2, the world is full of jerks. That's not going to change. 3, you cannot control what other people do. And finally, the only thing you can do is control how you respond. Words cannot hurt you unless you let them. And what's the old saying? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And I think there's a lot of truth to that statement. Not to say that words can't be hurtful, but you have to let it bother you. If you let it bother you, if you dwell on it, you can't control what other people say, but you can control how you respond to it. And now, I am a libertarian, which means I believe in freedom of speech. Freedom of speech means sometimes people are going to say things that are not nice. People are going to say things that are false. But that's what it means to have freedom of speech. And no, I do not believe you can even in principle have a right to not get offended. People are always going to get offended. And for those, I'd want to say, I'm not denying that there are people who really are struggling with suicidal thoughts. That's a reality. I think those people need help. We should help those people. But we also need to tell them that suicide, no matter what your reasons are, suicide is an incredibly selfish action. No matter how bad you have been hurt, no matter what you are going through in life, you are only making the problem worse by committing suicide. And for those of you people out there that are glorifying suicide, that are always, pushing the narrative that it's somebody else's fault, I hold you partially responsible for why so many people commit suicide. I mean, do you honestly think that maybe if people didn't think that they would have their picture shown across everywhere on TV and have their story glorified and then made to look like this victim, if people didn't think that was going to happen so readily, maybe there'd be fewer suicides? So I make this video just to say you are responsible for your own actions. I'm not advocating that anyone be a jerk. I think the world would be a much better place if there were less jerks. But get real. The world is full of jerks and it isn't going to change. You can't control what other people say. You can only control how you respond. And this precedent that was set in the Michelle Carter case, I mean, where does it stop? I mean, what are we going to do when some girl goes to school and another girl looks at her and laughs and says, "I hate your outfit," and she goes home and commits suicide, and she writes a note saying it's because that other girl told me my outfit, she didn't like my outfit. I mean, get real. You cannot control what other people do. You can only control how you respond, and if you can't handle what other people say, then grow up. That is my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth.